It was really crazy. We were actually celebrating our anniversary in San Antonio, and there's this really nice hotel down there called Hotel Emma at the Old Pearl Brewing Company district. And we were trying to stay there for our anniversary, like one night there and then one night on the Riverwalk. And we get down there, we're in my truck. We had just come from a buddy's birthday party in Brenham and had stayed the night over there. So like all this stuff was in our truck, like coolers. And I had, we had our luggage and everything. And anyways, we parked at that hotel, and, the next day we go to check out. The next morning we go and man, I've gotten, and this is, I guess, terrible or whatever nowadays, but like, I never thought it was a big deal. I would take Gretchen, our dog, everywhere with me. She's like this big. I mean, she's just like my sidekick. And if I would go get groceries or go to the post office or something, I would leave the AC running, lock the door from the outside, and with a truck with Fords that it's got the keypad on the outside and you can just lock it, just leave it there. And,
run in,
it's like
come back
freezing
out.
cold in there with the AC running and stuff.
For sure.
And I would run in and then come right back out, and I never thought anything of it. And I just got used to doing that. And we went to check out at the hotel, put our luggage in there, had the AC running, put her in there. We're like, all right, let's go drop the keys off. And we were going to look at like the photos in the lobby. We didn't really get to see the history of it. And we were going to look at that and then come right back. We came back like 10 minutes later, and my truck is gone. And she was obviously in it. And dude, it was just, that turned into, essentially we go into a panic. We thought it had been towed maybe, and we didn't know why, but we were like, there's no way someone just stole this truck. I mean, it's in the broad daylight at like 1:00 in the afternoon. There are people everywhere at that Pearl District. There's restaurants everywhere all around that hotel. And so we were like, okay, there's no way it's stolen. Like they must have, no one could have done this in front of all these people, And so we're calling tow companies, and, Lauren's looking around the neighborhood, and like, we're having no luck. And then, and no one was willing to show us any security footage, which was so weird. Like, they had cameras, but they wouldn't show them to us. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And we need to consult our attorneys and stuff, like as if it would be a liability for them or something, like us seeing. It was, I don't know. It was bizarre. Like, they didn't want to get involved with it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
But for us, we're like panicking. Like, what are you talking about? Like, show us. We just need to see what happened at 1:13, or whatever.
Right.
And anyways, but we were getting nowhere with them. And all of a sudden it dawned on me that I had an old trailer keychain, because we've had 50 trailers in our day, and we've had 50, trailer locks. And anyways, I had this old keychain though in my glove compartment of the truck, and it had one of those tile keychain things, the GPS things, that was like a gift from my mother-in-law for Christmas. And anyways, I get on my phone, and I'm like downloading the Tile app and trying to remember my password and all this stuff. And I get in, and it is like working like a charm. And it's like the truck is at, like, you could see it on a map that it was at, I think it was St. Luke's is the hospital there in San Antonio. And I zoomed in, and it was in a parking garage at St. Luke's. And I tell this officer, I'm like, hey, I just remembered I had this tile keychain thing, and it's at St. Luke's. And he looked at me and was just like, you don't know that. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, what are you talking? Like, it's here. It's on my phone. Like, I'll show you the app or whatever. And I was like, I just need a ride to get over there. And he was like, I'm not going to give you a ride over there. He was like, you can get a ride over there and then call the police. I was like, what? Like, what are y'all for? You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, I would think at a minimum you would give me a ride over there. And he like laughed at my face, and we're like in a panic. My wife's crying her eyes out. Like, and he like straight up just like laughed at me. I was like, dude, you're out of your mind. Like, I'm not going to give you a ride over to and so I had to get an Uber. They wouldn't send any police officers there to even check to see if the truck was there before I got there. I had to go show up, and like, I didn't know if someone was going to be there with a gun or whatever, or like, of course. And I had to just show up to this parking garage and go all through, jog the parking garage levels until I found the truck. And sure enough, it was there with like the door cracked open. All of our stuff was everywhere, or it was gone. And there was like some clothes everywhere. And the
dog wasn't there.
The dog wasn't in there. Gretchen wasn't in there. And so, then, and this is like hour 4 or something, or hour 3 or something into this whole thing. And then, so with that tile app, like you could go through and see where all they stopped and where all they went, and, it'll send a ping anytime it's near another tile user, and you'll get like a dot on a map that it was like, that we know it was here at this time. And then you'll get another dot where you would pass another tile subscriber.
Yeah.
200 yards down the road or whatever. And so it had all these, like a trail of dots, and one of them was at this at this shopping center called the Quarry in San Antonio. And we sent, like, I think Lauren, my brother, a buddy of ours, Bo Merrill, a couple of them, they all went over there to see if maybe they had dumped her out, like, cause if I stole a truck, I would probably, and there's a little dog in it, immediately it would be like, okay, I'm going to go to the most like public place and just put it out there so that someone will take this dog. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And if you're a halfway decent human being, I feel like
which
you would,
if you're still in pickups, you may not be.
Exactly. And so anyways, they go over there. I stay with the truck. And I'm trying to wait on officers to get there to get fingerprints and try to see if they can get fingerprints on it or whatever. And it took another hour of me there before anyone showed up and standing there. And then they get there, go through the fingerprints and stuff. They didn't want to do it. Like, had to pretty much like, please, like, I'm trying to
begging them.
Yeah. It was just the craziest thing, because I've never had that experience with officers before, like ever in my life. And then all of a sudden it was like, it was like the worst experience. And yeah, it was crazy. And so anyway, then I guess they were just super understaffed down there or something, but it was really disheartening. And anyway, so about an hour later, they do the fingerprints thing. There's no luck. They don't turn anything up. And they were like, we can either put a boot on the truck and you can leave it here, or what was it? It was like, or no, they were saying you can either have it towed right now and call a tow truck and get it out of here, or you can get a locksmith. And I think the locksmith, it wasn't available till the next day or something like that. Like I'd tried to call several locksmiths. And so anyways, I was like, well, will you put a boot on it so it can't go anywhere? And they were like, no, we can't put a boot on it. I was like, I thought y'all did that all the time. Like, I just need to, put a boot on the truck so they can't steal it again. Cause they had the keys. The keys weren't in it. I couldn't drive it out.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any spares or anything like that. And so anyways, I couldn't get a boot on it. And so I finally end up, I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to leave it here and take my chances. I'm going to ask the security guard, like the toll booth guy at the parking garage, like if he'll make sure this thing doesn't leave. Like, just leave the thing down. If this truck tries to leave, don't let it leave, and you call the police or whatever. And that's what the guy said. But I ended up getting more of those tiles, and I cut open the upholstery behind the back seat and just dropped them all in there. And I was like, they're going to come back for this thing, and and hopefully we'll be able to figure out where it is or whatever. And sure enough, at like 11 p.m. that night, I got a ding on my phone and it was moving. Toll booth guy he just let it through or whatever. And, which made me feel like there's a lot of people in on this. Like, it goes to this one parking garage with this one toll booth person, and then he doesn't stop it whenever, he clearly knows what just happened, and we spend hours with him and all this stuff, and then it just is right out the door, like no problem.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like a lot of people might be involved with this, and that's where they stage it every time, because apparently that's with boosting cars, that's the way they do it nowadays, where it's like everyone's got a job. There's a guy that boosts it that can be in and out of it. Once we did get to see the security footage on ours, that truck, from the time the guy walked up to the truck to the time it was out of the parking lot, was 17 seconds.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like the guy that does that. And then there's the guy, and he'll take that to a parking garage and let it die down for like a couple days or a week to where it's old news to police and stuff. And then someone else will come, and their job is to transport it from there to like a ranch in South Texas. And it'll sit at that ranch for a couple weeks. And then there's another guy that'll get it from the ranch into Mexico. You know what I mean? And like,
wow.
Because it's like and anyways, I'll get to this at the end. And I'm sorry it's taking a long time, but it really is. I mean, it's a really long ordeal.
No, it's interesting.
But anyway, so like what I was getting at is 11 p.m. that night, I get a ding on my phone. My wife, my brother, our buddies, they have no luck at that shopping center finding Gretchen, our dog. And so everybody's pretty disheartened, and we keep looking around. We try to follow like where the truck is going, but you'll just get a pin drop, and then you won't see it. At this point, it was like we wouldn't see it for like an hour and a half, and then we would get another pin, and it would be on the opposite side of town, and then we'd get another one 2 hours later. And so it ended up being about 4 a.m. We were finally calling it, and we were going to go to bed because we had been to apartment complexes where it showed it had been. We had been to gas stations where it showed it had been, and had no luck with it. And so we were finally just going to try to get some sleep and then get up the next morning. And by this time, it had gone like viral on Facebook. And
because the dog.
Yeah,
you were missing your dog.
Yeah, I did a video right when it
shared
happened.
It too.
I made a video right when it happened, and I just like threw out this big number, of a reward that we were going to offer to try to get the attention of like news and people like that to get involved with it, because we figured that's like the only way that's going to happen. And because she's like our kid, like we haven't had any kids, and she's on the road with me, or she's like, we take her everywhere, we've had her for a long time.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's the only dog we'd had. And anyway, so we were shooting from the hip and just threw out a big number, and it ended up working because all these news stations in San Antonio were contacting us to get interviews on it in the morning to say like, hey, there's this dog missing and there's a reward and all this stuff, and there's a stolen truck and all this. And so sure enough, it gets to be like 4 a.m. We're going to bed. I get another ding on my phone that it popped up again, the GPS thing. And so then we get up again, go look for another hour and a half. Didn't have any luck. Finally went to bed at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. Wake up the next morning, or really don't sleep. Get up at around like 7:30 or 8 or something. And I had these interviews, and I'm in the middle of one of the interviews. And I'm just like, yeah, we haven't had any luck and this and that. And then the interview ends, and we give all the information on who to contact if you find her or whatever. And all of a sudden, right after that, my sister-in-law, I can hear her yelling at me, they found her. And some girl had gone on a hiking trail in San Antonio early that morning and was walking down this trail. And she said that she saw like off of the trail, like 20 yards, 30 yards back, she saw these bushes like shaking, and she couldn't figure out what it was. And it kept catching her attention. And so she walked over there, and she saw she was like, it was Gretchen they had like tied a leash around her neck, which she had said zip tie, but I think it was like a language barrier or something. It was one of those zip leashes. Like,
gotcha.
That's like
yeah.
Anyways, they had like taken her collar off with her ID and everything. I don't know why you would do that, but they took that off and threw it out somewhere. And then they tied this leash around her neck in a double knot, and I guess just tossed her out of the truck, like out near these woods. And that leash had gotten caught up in some brush. and she was just tugging at that thing, I think, all night, because it was like her whole neck was all matted up and stuff, and it was terrible. But it was amazing, that and this girl had already booked her a groomer's appointment and named her Shelly. and so if she's ever bad, we call her Shelly now, but I thought that was pretty great. And anyways, but it was her little brother. Apparently she brought her back, and her little brother was like, "That's that dog from the TV. That's the dog from the TV." And it was on multiple San Antonio news stations with her photo right there.
Yeah.
And like this little 5-year-old, I think he was like a little kid had seen her and was that's that dog from the TV. And so they looked it up on Facebook, found the contact, and contacted my mother-in-law, and we ended up getting her back. And so then fast forward, we get her back. We have no luck with the truck, but that's all that mattered really to me, because I was like, all right, well, insurance or whatever, we'll figure it out with the truck, and I'd lost a lot of really cool stuff that was in there, and my wife had lost some really cool jewelry, and that we were bummed about, but we got our dog back. That's what mattered. And right. We were going to head back to Austin because we had to record Hummingbird the next day with Adrian Casada in Austin at his studio. And so I had to get back for that. And anyways, then we get back to Austin. I sit down and I was like, let's get some Mexican food. Let's like just try to have a drink and just kind of wind down from this whole experience or whatever. And sure enough, I get a ding on my phone, and it's the truck's moving again. And it was going straight down 35 to Laredo. And anyways, I called like a detective in Laredo and was like, hey, it's a long story. My truck was stolen in San Antonio. We've been looking for it. My dog was in it. I'm just pissed off now. Like I could just let insurance deal with this, but I'm pretty mad about it. And anyways, and so I ended up giving him the info, and eventually I thought it had gone over to Mexico, because it literally went right to the border checkpoint. And then that was the last ping I had, was the exit to go across the bridge down there. And anyways, it's like a day or something goes by, and I get another notification. It's still stateside at some neighborhood at a house. And I got like I woke up with 4 notifications, and they were all right there at the same house. I was like, so it was like parked there, and people that use tile were driving past it.
Wow.
And it was dinging every time someone would drive past it, I'm assuming, is what was happening. And sure enough, I called that same guy, and I was like, hey, this is the address. And he was like, that's very interesting that you say that address. I'm very familiar with that address. He was like, you need to just like hang tight. And he said that there was like 3 or 4 agencies that they got involved because of the importance of that address. I guess they had like tons of traffic through that house and had never had anything to
like no real reason to go.
They had nothing to ever get a warrant on it to raid it, except and my truck was sitting in the driveway. And it's like, so the guys are fully aware if I ever get shot off stage, it's because of that.
Somebody's going to go investigate that address.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, but it was, they made a raid on it, and I'm still driving that truck now. So
all the stuff is out of it.
Yeah. There was one, Phillips, Craig and Dean, the Christian band. So my uncle was in that band. Or it's my mom's cousin, Dan Dean, and that CD was in there in the glove compartment.